I'm excited to talk to you all about today about the second most used page. It is the most important page on your website. And we know this because we've done studies. And if you don't know what the second most used page yet is, it's the About Us page. And I'm going to go over not only today why it's important and what it can do and the mindset behind how to build an About Us, but I'm going to go into the technicals of what should be on a great About Us page and a great bio page and how to form it. When we started doing this, we started doing research on websites and going through analytics. And when we design websites, and we've designed thousands of websites at Authentic Web, we, like anyone else, we spend a lot of time on the homepage and then a lot of time on the interior page. And then the bio page would be kind of a throwaway. But then we start to look at the analytics, and not only is, and one thing I mentioned before is that, that the About Us page is the second most used page on your website. But not only that, but your name is generally the most searched thing, your highest ranked SEO term. So it's a huge opportunity that we found we were just kind of letting go by the wayside, and it was a throwaway. We just throw someone's CV up there, not describe it. And when we started working, we worked with dentists and lawyers in highly technical fields. So while their credentials meant a lot to them, it was just generally blah, blah, blah. And so we stopped just simply doing it that way. And we did a lot of research into what makes a great bio page, what makes a great page, and how people are using it and where the opportunities are. So I'm going to go over that with you all today. And hopefully by the end of this, not only will you know how to make a great About Us page, you'll get excited about it and take action, because that's the big thing I want you to do, is take action, because this is a huge opportunity to increase conversions on your website. And all that money and time that you spent building a beautiful website and driving traffic to it, really the About Us page is a bottleneck, because you all know the second place you go on any page on a website is the About Us page. You're like, oh, hey. So let's go into the presentation. I'm going to share my screen here. And I love Prezi. So let's go to the full. And can you all see the Prezi, Christy?
Yes.
You see the Prezi? All right, awesome. So the second most used page is your most important page. And the reason for that is on the know, like, trust scale, while people can come to your website and kind of know you, they're not going to really like and trust you from your homepage. And really the sale comes in the like and trust phases. And we move back and forth in these like and trust phases. But when you try and sell directly from your homepage, especially if you have a big ticket item, even trying to get a lead magnet downloaded, people are so sensitive to having given out their email address. You're trying to skip that no and go right to like and trust. And like and trust happen for a variety of reasons we're going to go through. But when we try and skip the stages, you're kind of like that crazy person at the bar that, wants to get married right away. And that's probably not the person you want to marry. So, thinking about that and taking a step back, we all want to make that sale, but knowing that your homepage isn't going to make the sale. It's just for someone to know you. And really the About Us page is developing like and trust and condensing that time period of know, like, and trust. We want to make it happen faster. We cannot skip the steps. We can just make them happen faster. So today we're going to really talk about how to use the About Us page to develop like and trust. First of all, the biggest thing, and we're going to go over this time and time again, is the About Us page. It's not about you. It is not about you. No one cares that you fish, hunt, golf, and like long walks on the beach. No one cares about this stuff unless you put it in the context of them. So remember, when someone comes to the About Us page, they want to learn about you, but they want to learn how you can help them. What is it about you as a person, you as a company, the people in your company is going to allow you to like them? So once again, putting your resume up there, it's not a seller. you buy a person. Even if you're hiring, you know that you look at a resume, they're talking points, and you really need to talk through those points. So I want you to drill that into your head. Your About Us page is about them. It's about your visitor to your website. And if you're wondering about the "clearly you're not a golfer" phrase, it's from the Big Lebowski, for all you Big Lebowski fans. So we want to get people to like you and trust you faster. Well, why do we want to do that? Because people buy from their friends. And while you can sell people on value, you can sell people on the value of your service, you can sell people on the value of your product, you can spend a lot of time building up value. If they become your friend first, they're going to buy from you faster. They're going to trust you faster because they like you and they know you, and there's something about you that they like. But the hard part is, you want people to become your friends. Do that. How do we get people to become our friends? And it's very tough on the internet. So, why do people like and trust someone? Let's talk about that. Why do people become friends? Proximity is a big one, and it's actually the biggest factor. Proximity is the #1 determination of why people become friends. It's psychology 101. People that are closer together in geography become friends. So that's one way. Increasing time together. People become friends because they spend a lot of time together. Because they trust your face. People say, "Oh, he has a kind face," and they'll become friendly with you. That is us reading faces. There's a lot of neuroscience behind that. But that's why it's important to have a picture of you on there, especially if you have a kind face. I think Tim Kroll's on this, and I know he has a kind face. So Tim, you should have your face all over it. Your kids have the same name. Your aunt has the same name. I actually had a client who said, that someone hired them because their aunt has the same name as my client. Or you went to the same college. I mean, if you look at there's an entire industry around, well, we went to the same college, so we're friends, so I know you, like you, and trust you. These are all big things that have an effect on why people decide to like, trust you, become your friend. But the big thing about that is, these are a lot of things that you really can't control on the internet. And you're like, well, how can I figure out if someone knows and likes and trusts me on the internet? Well, the big thing that you've got to do is learn to control what you can control. And when we build websites and we start to build funnels out and we do videos, I always get this over and over again. Everyone wants to be everyone's friend, and they want to control things that they can't control. Well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And, what if, they don't like me because of this, and they don't like me because of that. The more things that you think you control that you can't, it's going to drive you nuts in building a website. And you're spending a lot of time, you end up with a bland website. So one of the things you can control is control telling your story, telling authentically who you are, not being afraid of who you are. Also, you can control a few other things. And there's a great story about control I have. This is one of our clients, Wayne OBrien. And I love him because he's a personal injury attorney, and his thing is, I'm a nice guy. He has radio ads, everything that's the branding, and it works for him. It works really well. People remember that he's a nice guy, and they connect with it. But the reason I want to talk about Wayne is he has an even better story. He has an amazing history. You should go to his website and just learn about him. He was a state senator for Virginia. But when he was getting elected and when he was running for office, he was such an underdog, he didn't know what to do. So yeah, he went door to door and started connecting with voters and went from door to door to door with voters. But what he controlled was what was amazing. He controlled the questions. He controlled the situation. And he made sure to connect to the person and the situation by asking just questions to the people, and he'd ask question after question after question, and until he got a question that they had something similar in common. You're like, oh, you fish? Have you been to so-and-so? Oh, that's right. I've been there. It's been great fishing. By the way, my name is OBrien. I'm running for office. And what's amazing is how quickly he went from no like to trust, and then boom, call to action. I love that story because it's genius, because Wayne went from being an underdog with that one tactic to winning office. And he has a lot of other neat stories you should check out. The guy's a brilliant marketer, and he's a very subtle marketer. He has a great story on his bio page too, where he tells all these stories so people can connect to them. Well, the point is that he controlled what he could control. You know, he didn't go, well, I'm an underdog, I'm going to battle this guy on this, or I'm going to battle on other things. He battled a place he could, and he controlled what he could control. He didn't worry about those other things and got it done. And that's what your opportunity about us is be who you are, embrace every part of you, and figure out where that connects with your ideal clients. So when you connect to ideal clients, we want to connect to and make them decide. Well, the big thing to realize about decision making, and when we look at an About Us page, and the reason that someone decides on the About Us page, you know, they'll connect emotionally and fill out logically later on. But really, the reason we decide is because of the situation. And it's very, very important to talk to a specific person, but it's also important to talk to their situation. And by that, I mean, you know, what time of day is, what's going on in their life, understanding where they are in their life process, because it's so critical, because that's how we decide. We have all these external factors that we discount, and in reality, the external factors are what's driving us to make a decision. So while making your avatar or your ideal client and sketching them out and understanding is very important, understanding who they are. And when we talk about this, we talk about designing an avatar, not a demographic, but a very specific person. You know, when we do this at Authentic Web, and we did this with all of our clients, when we do a storyboard meeting, the first thing we do is we spend time sketching out the ideal client, and everyone fights us on it because you're like, well, this is really for everyone else. But when you talk to one person, that's the first part of talking their situation, and understanding not only who they are, their name, what their specific job is. Not that they're an executive, but they're an executive at a Fortune 500 software company, or they're they're a mom, you know, as specific as you can get, the street that they live on. And you know, take it back a step. If I told you that, you know, 10 of your ideal clients lived on one street, you'd be able to market pretty specifically and save a lot of money. Well, that's the same thing that happens. And we all know with Facebook ads, you get so targeted on there. That's where identifying that avatar is going to help you out a lot. And then later on, you can expand out of there. You know, not only are we talking about their traits and their demographic, but also understanding, you know, the types of magazines they read, where do they get their information, who do they look to for decision making. You know, if they're married, are they happily married, and understand their relationship with their spouse? How old are their children? Because the age of your children definitely influences your decision-making ability. You know, how many children you have. Because a great point is that we've worked with a major radio network before, and this major radio network, we're not allowed to use their name because they're very controlling of their name. But I'll tell you that there's a mouse at the head of it. And they, you know, what was amazing about the radio network is how influential the fact that this radio network was on all the time. You can market to the parents and the child at the same time. So understand, if they have a 13-year-old child, that this radio network might be a good place for you to advertise and market and provide some value. So getting honed in on that avatar is going to allow you to speak to that person on the About Us page, and in your About Us page, allow you to connect. Because think about it, when you tell your story, when you're telling your story and you meet someone at a networking event, first of all, you listen to who they are, and then you put your story in the context of who they are. You don't just spout off your CV. So understanding that is very important, but also understanding their situation. Once again, if we talk about that party aspect, knowing what the party's for, why they came to the party, is going to allow you to put your bio in the context of their situation. So I can't harp on this enough. And in a future webinar we're going to explain to you how to create a storyboard of the client situation and market to it. But understand how they came, why they came to your homepage, and then understand their broader situation, but also what they're looking for is going to be critical. Now, let's get into designing that About Us page. The thing you want to start with on an About Us page is start with your why. What's your big purpose? What drives you? Because people connect with a why. Simon Sinek's book and his TED Talks, if you haven't read them and listened to them, they're fantastic. And they're so powerful because, you know, the rise of Apple Computer and the rise of a lot of these big companies are because they connected with people's why. And, you know, the example that they give is, you know, it's an MP3 player and it's all these features, but, you know, Apple's like, it's a million songs in your pocket. And it's because that's the why. That's the why of what someone else wants. But when someone comes to the About Us page, they want to know your why, your purpose. Especially if you're in a service industry, people are going to connect with that. They're connected with why you do what you want to do. And one of the examples we give is, you know, Brett Mayer is like, I want to help you sleep at night. And he's a criminal defense attorney. And wow, because that really connects, and it makes you realize that he's human, but also connects to their purpose and connects to what's important in their situation, because he understands in their situation, they're not sleeping at night. So starting with your why and getting deep in that. And one of the techniques that you can do is do 5 levels of why. And this is a technique that I teach a lot of people, and it's pretty simple. You just keep asking why to get the deeper purpose of what you do. You know, why do you do what you do? I want to make a lot of money. Why do you want to make a lot of money? I want to have security. Why do you want to have security? Because I want my family to be secure and my kids to have a legacy. Why do you want to have that? Because I know I've been through hard times. And you get to that and people are like, wow, they really connect to that. Instead of you just wanting to make a sale or make money, it's connecting to that family aspect. And, you know, that family aspect, no matter what you sell or what you do, can be a big part of it, but explain why family is important to you. Why are you doing what you're doing? That should be your headline, and that should be what you start with, because that is what will get people to pay attention. We do a lot of videos, and we found, you know, and by a lot, I mean thousands upon thousands a year. And we found, you know, we have specific sections, specific ways that we edit. And we used to finish the videos with the why, finish with the feel-good aspect of it. But when we moved the why to the front, we found that people watched the videos for longer because people connected to that. And you would think that people would want to come there and learn more about value and logic and purpose, but really they want to connect to something, because we're all in this urgency of connection. So starting with your why is a very important place to go. So understanding then, as you move down your page and you go down, you want to decide, help people decide and back up that decision, because that's the way that we decide. We decide with emotion. And if you're a good salesperson, you know this. You know we decide with emotion. We decide with the back of our brain, and then we back it up with the front of our brain. Our brain's weird like that. We want to think that we're logic-based. We need that logic, and we need it to justify our decisions. But in the end, we decide with emotion. So when you're making this page, you want to put values that are logic-based values. Like, you have this degree, and this degree means X, Y, Z to your clients. Or you know, we have, I believe strongly in customer service, and I'm going to call you back in 24 hours because that makes me feel good. That's a logic. That's a logic thing. But it should start it with emotion and then alternating them. It's a classic sales technique, but it should be used on your About Us page. You know, the homepage can be more pure logic with a little bit of story, because that's why someone's coming to your homepage. They're driven to your homepage, whether by SEO or whatever, because they want some tactic, they want some product, they want something fulfilled. And then we all want to make an emotional decision, and that emotional decision is made on the About Us page, but you still should be backing up with logic. So have a rhythm of emotion and logic. A great place to have a little bit of both is to have a case study on there. Because you can have a testimonial, like someone changed my life, but then you can have, a case study, a 2 or 3 line case study on your About Us page that leads to a broader case study as well. So be remembering that emotion, logic. And so when we talk about alternating, you want to control that story with long form. And we all know long form websites get people to spend more time on there. They also get the people to pay attention to you more. And you get to tell the story to them for a little bit longer. And we found once we moved over to long form and this style of page, 30 to 80% more time spent on the bio pages. 30 to 80% more. And what this does then, especially if you're an attorney or you're providing some sort of service that's a value-based service, not only do people like you, now we've accelerated that know, like, and trust, and you're deep into the trust because they're spending time with you. They're spending time looking at your face. They're spending time understanding your story, and you're piecing it out to them. But also, when you do this, you're building up your value, and you can charge more. And this is why it's so important to have long form, especially if you do any type of coaching, if you have any type of value or commoditized service. If you have a commoditized service, like if you're in real estate, well, why should I work with you? Because, really all the values are going to be there. But when your traditional values, like, hey, I have so much experience, I can do this and this, all the logic stuff, it's going to be pretty similar. But when you control the story and have a long form page, and you get to build value in who you are and your story, well, then you can justify, someone's coming to you over leaving their friend. Or, in the case of our attorneys, doubling or tripling your hourly rate. So controlling the story with long form also allows you to piece out that emotion logic that we talked about, to start with the why. And if you have a complex or a deep history and a lot of pieces to it, that allows you to control it and piece it out. It allows people to scan and find the part that they connect to. So now if we go back to and talk about, why people decide and why people become friends, well, you can put a lot of the stuff on there and find the reason that they have to become your friend. So it's the long form is a great way. Plus, from the SEO standpoint, someone spending more time on your page, that page is just going to rank higher. What's great if it ranks higher, and especially, if you have a common name and you want to rank higher for your name because people are searching for it, well, you can rank higher for your name if people are spending more time on your bio page, and then they get there and you get to tell them the story because now they're looking for you and they want to learn more about you. So it's a great combined effect that we've had a lot of success with. It humanizes your service. And once again, if you're commoditized industry and people are doing research, like if someone's researching a personal injury attorney or someone's researching a realtor, someone's researching a dentist, and it gives you an opportunity to connect to the story because people are going to remember your story. They're going to remember that, this is Steve Orlow, that he was president of the Queen's Bar Association, where they might have, before when it was just in a CV, they might have skipped over it, but we tell the value of it. And remembering that story, if they don't remember your name, but they remember a piece of your story and you have decent SEO, they could search, personal injury attorney, president of the Queen's Bar Association, because they'll remember that, where they might not remember your name. It's another way to capture lost clients, especially if you don't have any retargeting set up, which you should have retargeting set up. You don't know that, but just in case you don't. So I started with this, but I can't tell you enough how important this is. Connect the stories. Connect your story to their stories. We remember stories. We're going to remember, people are going to remember your story in the context of their story. And so what I mean by this is, you know, always be talking about that, talking to the avatar and talking to that ideal client in their situation. And remember that the most important story is absolutely theirs. That's the thing that they care about. And they're looking for some reason to know, like, and trust you. They're looking for some reason to trust you. And when you put your story on your About Us page in the context of them, in the context of their story, and tell it to them that way and write like that and do headlines like that, you have a huge opportunity to stand out. You have a huge opportunity to increase your conversion rates. You can even put calls to action on your About Us page. You can put your lead magnet on your About Us page. And people will be like, oh, I want to hear more from this guy. Because people are going to want to hear more from a person. They don't want to hear more from a business. They don't want to get newsletters from business, but they want to hear about people. On a side note, one of my clients has a very successful newsletter. And it's a printed newsletter. And anytime people, he's a personal injury attorney. And people move and call him up and say, make sure I'm still on your newsletter list. And it's amazing, but there's very little about the law on there. There's no secret tips on how to make $1 million. It's just the story of his family. It's stuff his family's doing. It's his kids growing up. It's him and his wife going on vacation, which you think is boring, but a lot of people, once you connect with their story and you connect with them and he's helped them out, his story is part of their story, and they want to keep on top of it. So when you connect your stories, it's a huge, huge opportunity. And speaking of connect with stories, that's it for today. I know we had scheduled an hour. I'm going to do a little Q&A. But the first part that we do whenever we build one of these is do a storyboard review. We review your goals. We review your avatar. And then we review their story. So we can when we design one of these About Us pages and we create the videos, we're connecting to it. And anything that we do from SEO to website development to video production is in the context of your client's story. And we hope someday to tell your story. And if you want to set up a storyboard review, please call Christy at cbear@yourauthenticweb.com. We'll email her there or call her at 407-284-0510. We do have a toll-free number on our website, yourauthenticweb.com. Email us, whatever, Facebook us, whatever way you want to do. I'll give you Christy's cell phone in a few minutes too. No, I won't do that to her. Well, thank you all for being on here. I really appreciate it. Let me see here. I hope you all implement this About Us page. Tell your story, connect with your story. We talked about not being afraid of the story. Some people are not going to like parts of your story. And that's great because it segments out people that you don't want to work with anyways. And it's going to segment out people that, you don't want to buy your product because they're going to be a pain in the butt. It segments out people that aren't going to be excited about you. When you have a story, whether you sell products or services, people can tell your story. I mean, look at Wayne OBrien. I tell his story over and over again. If he was just a personal injury attorney, I wouldn't be telling his story. So people tell your story over and over again. Embrace it and get a great About Us page to start increasing the conversions on your website. All right, I'm gonna open up for questions. Does anyone have a question? Please enter it to the little message box. Not seeing any questions. Well, since no one has any questions, we'll be sending you a follow-up with the recording, and also I believe our next webinar is the storyboarding webinar. Is that right, Christy? Christy's in the other room, but she's going to type it in the thing instead of just yelling at me. She's in the other room of our office. But I believe it is storyboarding. We've got the storyboarding webinar coming up. And we also have a case study, how to make awesome case studies. all these things connect. It's all about telling stories. It's all about using video. It's all about making your website as much about you as possible, but in the context of your client. I appreciate you all for joining the webinar, and I hope to hear from you real soon.